letter from the Gantry.
Thanks, Neil. Yes, you're spot on. Today, it's more a goodbye from the Gantry, a tribute to a long-time colleague and friend and a very fine football commentator, Gerry Harrison. Gerry passed away over the bank holiday weekend. His loss will particularly reverberate around the Anglia television region, his commentary kingdom from 1970 to the mid-1980s, and he gave later service to the sports output on the channel. He was the voice of the much-loved Match of the Week. He covered 6 World Cups as a commentator and plenty more in other capacities. In 1978, I was on the same plane with him to Argentina, London to Buenos Aires via Lisbon, Recife and Rio de Janeiro. We did get there in the end. I was the new boy. Gerry had already worked for ITV at the finals in 1970 and 1974 and was a great example to follow on and off the air. He was a very bright person with a wide range of skills, including football, representing Oxford University twice at the old Wembley in the varsity match against Cambridge. We both had spells at different times at Corinthian Casuals, and I did play alongside his brother David, who, like Gerry, was a trained journalist. David had several roles at BBC Television, important roles, including for a time producing the flagship current affairs programme Panorama, the Harrisons blessed with considerable talents. Gerry narrowly missed a career alongside his brother. In 1969, the BBC held a competition open to all for a place in the commentary team for the World Cup in Mexico a year later. The interested viewers had to send in a taped example of their potential. The wannabes, which included me incidentally, were whittled down to a top 6 who were invited into a studio for a playoff to decide the winner. And it was live. Gerry Harrison made that final, along with the then current Liverpool and Scotland household name Ian St John, who would a decade later start an outstanding broadcasting career with ITV, the saint of the Saint and Grevesy. Neither won, but as a result of his promise, Gerry and other finalists were auditioned a few weeks later for a then vacant Anglia job broadcasting football in the region. Gerry won that hands down, and for the station it was an inspired choice. Football was hardly ready for television in those days. Gerry's 2 main clubs were Ipswich and Norwich, and in his early seasons, he often had to commentate from behind a goal, making identification at the other end of the ground extremely awkward. His work as a news reporter for a national newspaper had occasionally taken him into war zones, so scaling steep ladders in football grounds, often in full view of baying fans, to reach primitive gantries was not going to bother him. He was also helped by a great self-deprecating sense of humour. Observing after his debut for Anglia, a goalless draw between Ipswich and Nottingham Forest in August 1969, at least I didn't get the scorers wrong. In the first of a superbly researched trilogy of books by Matt Eastley, Brian Moore Saved Our Sundays, The Golden Age of Television Football, the author describes Gerry's style of commentary as urgent. It's a good word. He was full of anticipation. He knew the game. His was the world of edited highlights, when 90 minutes was cut down to 20 for a Sunday afternoon screening, and the quieter moments were left on the cutting room floor. No one worked harder at his craft. After the commentary landscape changed, he moved into production and a wider world. He was responsible for the output of the magazine-style television show Football Mundial to a global audience. It was a great success. He was a perfect fit, a lover of the game with a journalist's sharp nose for the stories around it. It meant much time spent in London and beyond, but he kept his home in Norwich with his lovely wife Kate and their 3 daughters. We last chatted at length when he called to pick my brains about Argentina 1978 and our roles in that World Cup coverage all those years ago. As always, it was a treat swapping stories. Gerry was forever young. When he phoned, he always announced himself, "Harrison here." Now he's not, and that for all his family and many friends is very sad.
But life well lived, and an old man when he died. Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you know, I forgot the Oxford University game at Wembley.
Yeah.
Is that still there?
It's not at Wembley, and hasn't been for a long time. But when I was at university, we had a player called Graham Oxley from Newcastle, who was a good player. I think he'd been on Newcastle's books.
Fullback?
No, you won't know him. And he played, I played with him for the university team, but then he left to go to Cambridge, and he got picked. I think it would be December '66, I think, something like that. And he scored the winning goal. The sad part, the whole troop of us from the university team, we drove to Wembley, but we got there after the goal. So we never saw it, and we had to go back. We never saw him. And I'm not sure I've seen him ever since, really. But
if you're watching, Graham.
Yeah, Graham Oxley. And he was a good player. Yeah.
So where's it held now? Do you know?
I think it was at Fulham, but I can't honestly tell you where it is. But it's still, I mean, obviously the varsity rugby match holds, and then even then held greater importance. But yeah, and Gerry got a couple of blues. Of course, I'm trying to explain it, and that people don't really know what blues are. But if you play for the team in this particular fixture, you're called a blue, and of course the colours are dark blue against light blue.
Okay, lovely. Gerry Harrison.